will come to Streams of Income. Hosted by best-selling author and entrepreneur, Dr. David Powers, where we discuss streams of income, passive income, residual income, and even why there are dinosaurs and zombies in this intro. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready to dive in.
Hey everybody, welcome to, we've got a guest. That's my daughter, Astrid. You know what, before I start this video, let me remind you to go watch the podcast interview with her, talking about her new book. Matter of fact, we were in town earlier for our regular Tuesday morning prayer walk, and the mayor was there with us. And before we left, the mayor actually came out of her office and hollered at us while we were walking by on the sidewalk. It's like, I ordered a copy of your book, Astrid. I need to get you to autograph it as soon as it gets here. So very cool. She wrote a book for one of her homeschool assignments and published it. It's available on Amazon. I'll throw a link in the show notes, but that's not why we're here today. But you know me, I like to follow squirrels sometimes, and I hope you enjoy following squirrels with me. Today, though, very special thing. We're going to do the first episode covering this book, How to Get Paid for What You Know by Graham Cochrane. And here's the subtitle, Turning Your Knowledge, Passion, and Experience into an online income stream in your spare time. Now, here's the great thing. This book was recommended to me, and at first I thought, I've been running online businesses for decades now, and different ones. I've read so many business books, and they all basically say the same thing. But the thing of it is, the way this book was recommended to me by a friend was that, every now and then, Dave, you got to go back to the basics. You got to go back and analyze what you're doing from the point of view of somebody who's starting fresh. And I'm doing that. I read through this book, just actually finished reading through the book, wrote tons and tons of notes and stuff inside, and going back through it again so I could prepare for these lessons. And it's an amazing book. You know what's really cool, though? I opened the book up, and there's a testimonial from my good buddy, the late Dan Miller, passed away last year. And I know Dan, or knew Dan well enough to know that he would not recommend a book that, number one, he hadn't read, number two, he didn't know the author, and number three, he didn't like. Dan wouldn't just throw his name or his recommendation onto a book that wasn't worth it. And so knowing that Dan recommended this book means a lot to me. I have not met and do not know Graham Cochrane. I hope to meet him someday. I actually want to try to get in touch with him and get him on this podcast. And so, Graham, if you're hearing this or somebody recommends this to you and tells you about it, I'm not going to read your whole book on air because that would be rude and also a violation of copyright laws. But I am going to teach people through the book. And so let me say first to everyone else that's listening, go buy the book. I'll put a link in the show notes. This lesson here, this podcast edition is only going to cover the intro. And so you've got time to go pop on Amazon, get the book. In 2 days, it should be at your house, unless you live in some weird place and maybe it's 3 days. But get the book in that way. Man, I got this cough I just can't get rid of. I start talking and then I start coughing. That's bad when you're trying to be on a podcast. Oh, there we go. So get the book. Get the book, and that way when you watch the next episode, you can jump right in with us. Now, here's another great thing. As I work my way through this book, I'm going to create worksheets. I'm going to create an entire workbook. By the time we're done, you'll have a big workbook of lessons and things that you can go through as you read this book, as you listen to these lessons. I hope you're going to enjoy that. But here's the catch. Here's the catch. My email will be in the show notes. You got to email me and ask me for the workbook. I want to talk to people. I have so many listeners that, if I just threw something in the show notes and said, click here to get a free download, people will do that and never look at it. They'll do that and forget it. I know this because I do that. I've got thousands and thousands of business books and success books and cryptocurrency books and things like that in my computer that I've downloaded for free and never looked at. Now, a lot of them are probably just pure crap, or they repeat other things by other people, or it's just relabeled private label stuff. But the thing is, it was free, it was easy to download, and I never touched it. I want you to email me if you want the workbook for this. Email me, tell me a little bit about yourself. I like to get to know people. For the most part, I'm an introvert, and so sometimes it's hard for me to get to know people. I might seem all high energy and everything on here, but I got to be honest, if I'm in I don't know, business group setting or something like that, I'm the guy that's going to go raid the buffet line, grab some amazing food, and then disappear to the corner because I don't want to be bothered while I'm eating because I'm an introvert like that. So let's dig into this book, How to Get Paid for What You Know. And remember, today we're only covering the intro. I'm going to read a couple little sections, tell you about Graham, what's on the back cover, that kind of thing. And another really cool tidbit I discovered about Graham is that the recording stuff he's done. I only knew of him through this business book and the business stuff, but Graham actually got started with the recording revolution. As a church sound guy, he was actually recording and teaching people how to put their stuff out online. Well, I've got a son who's probably 2 levels up. I'm in the basement. Who is, the dude is a heavy metal master. I don't know any other way to say it. He's 13 years old. He self-taught himself how to play the guitar and can play all the greats like Metallica, Nirvana, and the Foo Fighters. And he's into some of the heavier stuff like Pantera and all that, but he can play it all. He's actually learning some stuff like some Bob Marley because I like hearing that. It's amazing. And so I'm going to check out Graham's other stuff about recording and see if that'll help my son. Maybe they'll become homeschool lessons. Who knows? All right, so this introduction, let's dig into this. All right, I wanted to read the very first paragraph for you. You are sitting on a gold mine. Whether you realize it or not, you already have the knowledge, passion, and skills to create an automated income stream that requires no college degree, 0 employees, and less than $50 to get started. Imagine with me for a moment, if you had an extra $1,000 or $5,000 coming in each month, what would that mean for your life? Alternatively, if your work only required 20 hours a week to generate a full-time income, how would your life improve? Man, Graham really opened this thing up with a bang, and that's pretty cool. It really, I dug into it immediately after that because it really made me want to read more. And so in the intro here, Graham talks about creating an income based around your knowledge, your passions, and experiences. And here's the thing, that workbook I was telling you about, I'm creating some workbook pages on that paragraph I just read. Like, what would you do with? I want you to do a little dreaming with me. What would you do with all this extra money? What would you do with all that extra time? And so I want you thinking the way Graham would too, though, because this guy's a Christian. He's a church guy. And so I don't want you just thinking about yourself. I want you to think about other people too. So I've got some workbook pages for that, analyzing what you can do for yourself, and your family, of course, with that extra money and time, but also what could you do for others? Interviewed a guy the other day and I was asking him about his dream stream of income. And he was telling me that the main thing is he loved doing things for charity. He had some specific ministries that he liked working with. And his dream would be having the time and money to just go work with those charities more, maybe even travel with them a bit. And so that's it's not all about ourselves. It's not all about just taking care of the family and having a decent, safe place to live. Sometimes it's about doing more beyond that, outside the walls. And so as far as knowledge, passion, and experience goes, I've got a workbook page in there for that. It's a Venn diagram. If you're not familiar with that, Venn diagram is one of those things where it's basically, several circles. I've got 3 on this one: knowledge, passion, experience, where they all enter at some point. And so you've got these 3 circles and they all combine right in the middle. And so you've got to find that magic point where all 3 of those things align in a way that, that God created you to make money and make a living and help others with. And so that's pretty cool. All right. So Graham's story, though, listen to this. I was a musician living on food stamps who turned an obscure knowledge about recording music into a $1 million per year business that requires just a few hours of my time each week. And you'll read about his story. We'll talk a little more about it as we go through the book, but it's pretty cool. They were basically just broke. Working for a church, which those of you that work for churches, most of you know that's a quick way to poverty. It's a whole separate discussion. I've got some friends in a group that helps pastors with that kind of thing, but they were almost broke, but he was really good using this recording software. And Graham turned that, just teaching people some stuff about the software, creating courses, things like that. And then what he did was he did so well creating that stuff that Graham people kept asking him then at that point, like, how do I do what you did, but in a different industry? And so now Graham has an entire business that operates around how to get paid for what you know. It's very cool. And so he's got a little bit in here about, the title of this section, From Food Stamps to Freedom. I love that. All right, so getting ready to wrap this up because this one's kind of short. This is just the intro, but Graham's got he calls it his proven 6-step process. And so I'm going to give you the 6-step process, but just know that we're going to cover each one of these in detail in the book with workbook pages so that you can do some homework with it. But here's the process. Discovering your idea and ensuring it will be profitable. Yeah, I know from personal experience, a lot of neat ideas out there, but not all of them are profitable. All right, building an audience of loyal fans. Yeah, building your list is one of the hardest things to do sometimes, at least it seems that way. Packaging your knowledge into a highly desirable digital product. Selling online in an authentic and ethical way. In other words, not being known as the used car salesman of the internet, so to speak. And then next is leveraging simple online tools to market your product. And the last one, automating the entire process so that income flows to you even when you're not working. That's one of the key tenets of my membership group, Passive Income Engines. Passive income it's almost a misnomer because there's almost no income that is truly passive. But wow, if you could create something that replicates itself and is automated and pays you money while you sleep, while you're at church, while you're at the movies with your kids, while you're, I don't know, out hiking. I'm looking out the back window here in my basement and just thinking how nice it would be to be outside right now and not worry about the bills because I know when I walk back inside and check the computer, money's just dropping in because I automated a process. That also helps free you up for ministry, for helping others, for playing with your kids, for homeschooling. My daughter that popped in earlier, she's homeschooled. All my kids have been homeschooled, all 5 of them. And they're upstairs, they're spread out all over the place doing their lessons. It's very, very awesome. But you got to have a certain kind of income to afford that freedom. Not just afford it financially, but to afford you being able to take off. And I'm recording this in the morning right now. In about a half an hour, I'm going to go upstairs and eat lunch with my kids. And then after that, we're going to walk to the mailbox. And I live kind of off grid down a dirt road. And the mailbox is a half mile away downhill, which means it's a half mile back uphill. So I carry some weights and stuff just to make it a little more interesting. But it's a fun walk with the kids after lunch. And so we consume an hour and a half, 2 hours between lunch, the walk, and just hanging out afterwards. And I couldn't do that without some of the passive, near passive, automated, blah, blah, blah income streams that I have in place. Well, that's what this book is going to teach you. So let me read you the last words here from the introduction by Graham, just to really get you jazzed up for future lessons. And then I'm going to read about Graham from the back cover, let you know a little more about him. But listen to this. You ready? Are you ready for this? This is the nugget, the bomb that you really need to know that you got to go buy this book and tune in for the next podcast for lesson 2. You ready? All right. You sure you're ready? Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. Are you ready to change your life? Then let's begin. That's it. That's it. You got to be ready to change your life, and then you actually got to do something. So that's that. Now let's read about Graham, and I'll close this one out. Graham Cochrane is a business coach, YouTuber, and host of the Graham Cochrane Show podcast, where each week he teaches people how to grow their online business, work less, and give more to the things and people they care about. As a lifelong musician and audio engineer, Graham founded his first online business, The Recording Revolution, in 2009 during the Great Recession, as a blog and YouTube channel dedicated to teaching musicians how to record professional sounding music at home on a budget. The Recording Revolution now has more than 600,000 students tuning in from every single country in the world. It is $1 million per year business and requires less than 5 hours of work per week. Could you imagine making $1 million a year working 5 hours or less a week. That's how he's mastered automation. All right. In 2018, Graham launched grahamcochrane.com as a new resource dedicated to helping people build online income streams around their knowledge, passions, and skills. That's pretty cool. I'm going to put a bunch of links in the show notes for Graham's website, a link to just go ahead and click on the link, buy the book, have it for the next show. And then tell you what, just for fun, since you met my daughter, I'll give you a link to her book as well because she gets really excited when people buy her book. And I also give her most of the money. Some of it goes to we'll just call it the homeschool fund, but she gets paid too. So she really gets excited about that. So we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for tuning in this time. And be sure to the very next episode may not be lesson 2. I'm mixing in some interviews with other entrepreneurs, other online business folks, but just keep an eye out for the next how to get paid for what you know lesson. And let me know what you think about these in the comments, wherever you're watching this, YouTube, on your Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you're watching this. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, if you have any suggestions, or if there's things you'd like to know. And don't forget, if you want those worksheets, you got to email me because I want to meet some folks. I want to meet the people who are listening and working and taking action toward their dreams. All right, y'all take care. Hey, everybody, I like to throw in little snippets from certain industries, things I pull from magazines, stuff like that every now and then. Well, I've got a report for you from Pool and Spa News. Now, I know what you're thinking, Dave, do you build pools or spas? No, I don't. But I read that magazine because it's got some pretty cool business outlook stuff in there for contractors. Now, I do a lot of consulting, and a lot of the companies I consult with are contracting companies, mainly small businesses, mainly family-owned small businesses. And so I like to look through these magazines, see what the big trends are, see what's new, see what bigger companies are doing that small ones can emulate. So the 5 takeaways from HBI's labor report. Let's go over this here. So it's talking about the labor market. The Home Builders Institute report suggests the construction industry is seeing a rise in the number of younger workers and in white-collar jobs. And this also echoes some things I'm seeing from Cody Sanchez, from Contrarian Thinking, and I think she just published a book. Oh, what is it? Main Street Millionaire, something like that. I'm trying to get a review copy so I can tell you more about it, but she just published a book about buying construction and service-based businesses because a lot of the people that started those businesses are boomers and they're retiring now, soon, coming up in the next few years. And it's a peak market for young people to buy these businesses that are already established and to buy their way into a blue collar trade. And it's an amazing way to make some money. So let's check out this job outlook. All right. Younger workers in construction are on the rise. Now, I grew up in a family remodeling business. My dad's owned a remodeling company for almost 40 years. I grew up in it, and everything from I would go to the job sites and just hand tools up to the guys on the ladders to the point where I would work in the field and help build sunrooms. And then finally, I took over all the sales and everything from my dad's company and made it explode. And the thing is, though, is a lot of the people he's employed over the years were his same generation. The younger folks that they hired were only interested in other jobs. And I'm talking not recent years, but years before. We would hire a lot of college kids, and they were only using it for a summer job or a stepping stone, something like that. But now, young people in construction seeing it as a valid career, even a lifetime career, or a business they want to start is on the rise. And I love seeing that. I love seeing the younger generation is seeing a different path other than office jobs and retail jobs and W-2 jobs. Love seeing a path other than that. All right, construction is still facing an aging labor market. In other words, if you are a young person, and by young, let's just say under 40. If you're under 40, you are very young compared to a big chunk of the construction labor market. And so all those folks are retiring or quitting, or their bodies won't let them do that kind of work anymore. And they're wanting to pass that knowledge on or just leave the business altogether. And so there are tons and tons of jobs out there available for you if you're under 40. The industry still needs to hire 723,000 workers a year. And that's just to keep up with the ones that are dying, leaving, retiring, all that. It's over 500,000 workers a year in that industry. It's amazing. Just think you could be the business owner that hires a big chunk of those. Start a construction business, buy one. My dad's selling his down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You could live at the beach and buy this construction company, and it's just an amazing place to work and live. And there you go. You can hire as many of these people as you want and contribute to the industry. All right, next, the industry is seeing positive trends on diversity across gender and race. And this is actually pretty neat. My dad, to my knowledge, let's see, in the field, I'm not talking secretary or office workers, but in the field, I think my wife is the only woman that's ever worked for my dad. And that was only because she was family. And so, because of his generation, he just wasn't used to seeing women in construction, never thought about hiring women in construction. There's also a lot to do with just the generations, how they grew up with racial barriers, things like that. And you'll still see a lot of older guys. They work on same race or same ethnic crews. So whether it's all Hispanics on the same crew, or all white guys on the same crew, or all African Americans on the same crew, you'll see an amazing amount of that. Surprising with older generations. With younger generations, though, you'll see men and women working beside each other. You'll see more diverse, multiracial field crews, that kind of thing. It's pretty interesting. And so as the younger generation is kind of moving into and taking over the construction and the trades, you're seeing a bit more diversity among the workers. And so very cool. And then the last thing, I found this interesting, but most people only think of construction as the blue collar jobs. White collar jobs are on the rise in construction. So it makes perfect sense, though, because as the field jobs grow and more of these blue collar guys are working hard, they need the white collar guys in sales, in the office, doing marketing, whatever else needs to take place. I mean, doing the architectural, the engineering work, the plans, things like that, ordering, logistics. I mean, there are a lot of white collar jobs available in construction. There are also a lot of dual white and blue collar jobs available in construction, especially small businesses. When I worked for my dad, towards the latter years, I was doing primarily only sales. But if I was in the office and somebody needed help in the shop, bending some metal, putting something together, loading a truck, unloading a bunch of windows off of a delivery truck, I mean, I would go on out there and get sweaty and get a decent workout helping the guys out in the shop or out in the field if they needed it. So there's a lot of crossover there. And so if you can learn some of both skills, I mean, yeah, you can niche down later. You can specialize later on. I mean, I kind of did with moving into sales and marketing for my dad's business, but you can do an amazing job just learning both sides of that. And so I guess just to summarize all this article about the HBI report from Pool and Spa News is that, you hear it everywhere these days. The trades are an amazing way to go to make some really good money, to not have to generate any college debt. Matter of fact, even some of the trades that require tech school, if you have a young person that's still in high school, most tech colleges will do dual enrollment for free. And so while they're in high school, they can also be learning a trade. My 17-year-old is currently in high school, but also at the tech college, he's finishing up a welding degree. And so he's going to basically graduate high school with a welding degree as well. And so that's pretty cool. He can jump straight into a welding job. He's actually already done a few side projects for people and here around the house on our farm. And so it's pretty cool. So always, young people, if you're, and once again, young people 40 and under, if you're considering a new occupation, if you want to get into something, don't want to go to college for it, want to be able to make almost instant money and make more than you would in other jobs, retail, food, a lot of those others, look for the trades, look for construction. It's on the rise, and you can be a big part of that.